from afar, the average Indian village looks as pretty as a picture. Just after the monsoon, with its lush green vegetation and gushing streams, it appears idyllic. One would assume the residents to be fastidious about cleanliness and therefore in the pink of health. In fact, the truth is just the opposite. Every village lacks in facilities of proper drainage. Gullies are lined with undisposed human excreta. There is a conspicuous absence of safe drinking water. What one finds is that the village well serves as the common site for all functions, whether cleaning buffaloes or washing utensils. Even ablutions are performed close to the well. Unaware of the potential hazards, children are exposed to this unclean water. Others even use the same water for drinking and domestic purposes. Inevitably then, all this provides an ideal breeding ground for mosquitoes. Do the villagers like to live like this? In the midst of filth and disease? No, they do not. They know it is harmful.
आणि फक्त आता हे जे काय घाण दारातून पाण्याची त्या घाण्यामुळे त्रास होतो मला. या 3 वर्ष आजार पण चालले माझे.
मच्छर होतात, आजार येतो.
Can we make the life livable here? Can we reduce the prevalence of disease? Can we not make available good water to drink to reduce the incidence of diarrhea? Can we not arrange for latrines to dispose of the human waste and garbage? These are not impossible things.
Yes, illness can be prevented. Health can be restored, provided there is a willingness to do so, and sustained efforts are put in to carry out the program. Consistent with its aim of taking the benefits of science to the people, the Department of Science and Technology provided funds to a novel project undertaken by the Maharashtra Association for the Cultivation of Science. The MACS undertook a detailed investigation to identify the root causes of ill health among children and to explore means to rectify them. The work was spread over 8 villages around Pune. The findings of the survey reveal a lot about the lifestyle, beliefs and practices, all of which have direct relevance to the health of children.
माहिती देताना आम्हाला ते म्हणायचे, तुम्ही आमची माहिती कशासाठी गोळा करता? काय तुमच्या तुम्ही माहिती घेण्यापासून आमचे कुठले फायदे आहेत? तुम्ही आम्हाला काय औषध देता का? गोळ्या देता का? काय देता आम्हाला? तुम्हाला उगीच नुसतीच माहिती कशासाठी द्यावी आम्ही?
Superstitions persist. Initially, mothers were reluctant to hand over their children even for preliminary investigation for fear that they would attract what they called the evil eye. Even when a child happens to be healthy at birth, poor hygiene immediately sets in retardation. The preliminary survey showed that people lived in ill-ventilated houses. Children ate and slept in close proximity to animals
की आमची याच्यावर शेती आहे, मुलं बाळ आहेत, सगळं धंदा करतो आम्ही त्याच्यावर.
In the process, it is the children who suffer.
2 out of every 4 children are ill with diarrhea, cough and fever. 2 out of 4.
The average growth of Indian children falls far below the growth of children in developed countries.
आपली पोरं रोगट आणि किडकिडीत का दिसतात, त्यांना काय खायला मिळत नाही म्हणून? तसं नाही.
Inadequate diet is not the only problem in Indian villages. More important is the environment in which the child lives. Consuming a nutritional diet in unhygienic conditions is like pouring water into a leaking bucket. So, if one has to make a choice between diet and disease, the control of disease is far more important.
आता ह्या चित्रात काय दिसतंय आपल्याला? या मुलाला जुलाब होत आहेत. तर हे जुलाब कशामुळे होतात? विहिरीतलं पाणी आपण पितो, तर ते पाणी सगळं आजूबाजूच्या सांडपाण्यामुळे दूषित झालेलं असतं.
The principal causes for gastrointestinal disorders are contaminated water, extremely unsanitary conditions, and unhygienic habits. Water inside a well cannot remain clean or germ-free when filth exists nearby. The well gets contaminated due to continuous seepage. Not only seepage, but unclean buckets, ropes, and jars used for collecting water further aggravates the situation. "95% of water samples were found to be highly contaminated with pathogens. With the help of Harrack's apparatus, demonstrations were carried out to determine the exact dose of chlorine required to disinfect the well water. A very simple and extremely cheap process, that of chlorination, can rid the water of 90% E. coli and other diseases. But ignorance fuels rumors.
बायका गावातल्या बोलायचे की भांडी खराब होतात, पाण्याचा वास येतो, चहा चांगला लागत नाही, कपडे लवकर लवकर फाटतात.
पेत नाहीत माणसं, काय काय बेकार म्हणतात.
आता काय काय माणसं म्हणतात, मला स्वतः नाही तसं वाटत.
The village women filled water very early in the morning before it could be chlorinated. To get around this obstacle, health workers then packed a large capsule of bleaching powder in a synthetic foam pouch and suspended it into the well. The continuous release of chlorine over a longer period ensures safe drinking water for at least 20 to 25 days. But even this experiment met with resistance. Someone repeatedly pulled the packet out of the well and ripped it apart. After all, seeing is believing. The only lasting solution to dispel the rumors was to educate the villagers.
पोरांना बी व्हायचं, मोठ्या माणसांना बी व्हायचं. आता वाईज कमी पडले सारं, सारखे आजारी पडायची माणसं, आता कोण पडतंय?
Hand pumps are certainly a step ahead of drawing water directly from the well. They prevent the water source from getting contaminated. But it is not enough to merely install a hand pump. Maintenance is equally important. Otherwise, the seepage and contamination cycle sets in again. This is a well-maintained hand pump. Villagers not only draw safe drinking water, but also grow vegetables in the vicinity. However, purifying the water at its source is not enough. Here, villagers are taught different methods of purifying water at the household level, namely, treating the water by alum, or by filtering it, or by boiling it. Not only clean water, clean surroundings are equally important. Dirty environs and garbage dumps inevitably invite flies. In contrast, look at this clean compound. Or compare these bylanes. Children are more susceptible to diarrheal attacks by consuming food and water infected by germs found in human feces.
ती ही माशी तिच्या सोंडेला, पायाला सगळीकडे ही घाण चिटकलेली आपल्याला दिसतेय. अन्न खायसाठी तिथे येतात. अन्न खाताना ते आपोआप पहिल्या सोंडेला जे काही लागलेलं असेल ते सगळं अन्नामध्ये आपल्या लागतच.
To break the cycle of pathogenic contamination, to destroy the breeding grounds of flies and other carriers of germs, and to inculcate hygienic habits, villagers were motivated to accept the proposal of building enclosed latrines.
महाराष्ट्र विज्ञान वर्धिनी आपल्या गावामध्ये संडास बांधून देणार आहे.
MACS proposed extending an initial sum of 750 rupees to each family, which would cover the cost of building a latrine up to the plinth level. But some of the villagers said they could not raise the remaining amount of 1500 rupees required for completing the superstructure. Others proposed that 3 families should share one latrine. This was an acceptable solution because that way none of the families had to individually bear the entire cost. Their main contribution was of providing manual labor.
जागा दिली म्हणजे आता 20 माणूस लागत होतं ना संडासला, म्हणजे मग ती द्यावंच लागती. त्यांनी कुठे जायचं, ज्याला जागा नसेल त्यांनी कुठे जायचं मग.
Finally, a UNDP approved soak pit latrine was introduced. This model, designed to have 2 soak pits, is based on the principle of gainful recycling of waste. Thus, whichever soak pit was currently not in use would accumulate excreta, which in turn would be converted into compost.
चांगली आमची शेती बिती चांगली पिकली, मिरच्या लावल्या होत्या तिथं.
But all this succeeded later. The initial reactions to the proposal were quite dismissive.
एवढं मोठं वावर पडलेलं या संडासामध्ये कोण जाणार आहे?
नको नको, आमच्या घरा शेजारी बांधायचं असलं तर तुम्हाला गावाच्या बाहेर बांधा.
तुम्ही बांधून कशाला देता? तुम्ही पैसेच आमच्याकडे द्या.
बांधायचं असेल तर लवकर बांधा. आम्हा म्हाताऱ्या माणसांची पावसाळ्यामध्ये फार गैरसोय होती.
आमच्या गावामध्ये एक पाणी नाही, आणि मग ते एवढ्या संडासामध्ये 2-2 बादल्या कोण पाणी वाटणार? आम्ही बाहेर गेलो तर एका तांब्यामध्ये आमचं भागतं.
The villagers gradually changed their attitude towards the sanitation program as a result of launching a 3-pronged strategy. First, convincing influential persons in the village about the feasibility of the proposal and persuading them to persuade others. Second, posting a permanent field enumerator in each village whose job was to motivate and educate the villagers. Third, providing a latrine within the school premises. The school, being a center of activity, not only catalyzes the process, it ensures greater success. The message soon finds its way to the homes.
संडासात जाईल आणि ते परत जर आलं तर त्याच्यात घाण दिसली तर ते लगेच दुसरं विचारतं की याच्यात घाण झाली, ह्याच्यात पाणी टाक आणि हे सफाई करून टाक.
गावातली घाण कमी पडली आणि त्याच्यामुळे काय झालं की आजार खातही कमी पडलं मनुष्याचं.
आता चिखला पाण्याचं आमचं लांब जायचं तर जरूर घराच्या जवळ आलं.
पूर्वी संडास नव्हते. पूर्वी मुलं दारात नाही बसायची, घाण वगैरे व्हायची. आता संडासची सोय झाल्यामुळे आम्ही वापरतो संडास.
माना म्हातारीला जवळ आहे.
Gradually, this sanitary education became part of the adult consciousness too. As knowledge improves, habits improve. Like always washing one's hands with soap or ash after ablutions. It is always easier to inculcate new habits in children.
Perhaps the most important stage in changing the social life in the village is the Balwadi. It is in Balwadi that you learn the importance of personal hygiene.
The benefits are far more lasting too. Good habits, once inculcated, become automatic. It is here that the young learn the first lessons of hygiene. Children have an innate curiosity. What is learned in childhood remains till long afterwards. Like cutting one's nails in time, thereby preventing dirt and germs from finding their way into the stomach. The multiple benefits of sending their children to the Balwadi are slowly sinking in. Normally, the government provides for supplementary food in the Balwadis. But MACS purposely avoided giving this supplementary food after finding that parents were expecting their children to subsist on that alone. Parents were encouraged to send their children to the Balwadi with their own tiffin.
मी त्याला जेवायला वाढलं ना की ते हात धुतल्याशिवाय जेवत नाही. आणि हाताची नखे बिके जरी वाढली तरी ते स्वतः म्हणतो आई माझ्या हाताची नखे वाढल्यात, नखे काढ. नाही बालवाडीत गेली की इकडं जा, ह्या खड्ड्यात पड, तिकडं पड, इकडं लाग, हे असं वाटतं. मागं सारा जीव लागतो मग.
Youngsters soon begin to imitate what they see their elder brothers and sisters doing. Believe it or not, this very school earlier served as a favorite spot for all sorts of revelry. Nor was it so green and inviting.
शाळेत शेळ्या मेंढ्या वगैरे जनावरे येऊन ती लहान रोपटी खात होती. शाळेचे कुंपण केल्यामुळे आम्ही कष्ट करून जी रोपटी लावली ती छान उगवून त्यांची आता मोठमोठे वृक्ष व्हायला लागले आहेत.
The secret of this transformation rests with the children themselves. Just as the MACS researchers came to the village children too are taken to the MACS in Pune. A new link is forged.
Students coming from rural areas, they somehow lack in their scholastic achievements as compared to the students coming from urban areas. In this village improvement program, the main purpose of bringing the school children to MSCS is to expose them to science and scientific environment.
The only way to keep the area around the well clean and free of defecation and other misuse was to fence it off. Thus, on an experimental basis in village Babulsar, the well was cordoned off. It worked. Once the fencing around the well was completed, the villagers were able to draw clean water. Supply of safe drinking water, provision of sanitary latrines, inculcation of cleanliness and a sense of hygiene are the three most important measures to fight ill health and disease. The figures speak for themselves. The total morbidity at village Vardade has dropped from 57% to 43%. More significantly, gastrointestinal diseases have come down from 21% to 10% in the 0 to 5 years age group. In the 5 to 12 years age group, total morbidity has fallen from 56% to 27%, while gastrointestinal diseases have come down from 13% to 8%. This is the situation in one village where the intervention program proved effective. But not all the sample villages responded in like manner. At Marnewadi, the villagers could not overcome the age-old habit of using water from the stream and washing their clothes and buffaloes near the well itself. Villagers often have their own concepts of what constitutes clean water. For example, the belief that any water which is flowing is necessarily clean and safe. This once clean and functioning latrine has been reduced to an abandoned and useless structure. If one is not willing to change one's habits, mere technology cannot help to overcome the problem.
काय अशी पालथी पडल्यात निसटल्यात त्यांचे फुटल्यात काय आणि दरबस पोरांनी दगडी टाकायच्या त्याच्यावर ते मोडून टाकलं दरवाजा मोडला त्याची चौकट बी मोडली आता ते आहे बघा तसंच पडलं एवढ्या दगडी बी आत पोरांनी टाकल्यात संडासात मग सोय आहे का त्याच्यात आता बांधणं घ्यायची कोणाची घेता येतात का बांधणं आपल्याला
बघितलं असेल तिथे गेलेल्या तिथून पाणी आणायला लागायचं ना कोण जात एवढे चिनपट घेऊन आवरून
पण उन्हाळ्यात वापरत नाही आम्ही पाण्याची अडचण असल्यामुळं.
As a result, in such unresponsive villages, the incidence of total morbidity and gastrointestinal disorders did not come down at all. This was most noticeable in the 0 to 5 years age group.
Bring about a change in the attitude of the man, make him realize what is ahead of him. Don't depend upon outward help, depend upon yourself.
What every parent must ask himself is this: how would you like your child to be? Like this? Or like this? The choice is yours.